Hi everyone, we're here today to talk to you about the GROW model. It's a really popular coaching model which I'm sure many of you will have come across already. Great for leaders, line managers, and also new coaches will tend to be coaching using a framework. But I also believe that even the most experienced coaches can learn something from revisiting the coaching basics and coaching models. They often do shine a light on the fact that maybe you're skipping like generating options and using creativity, or maybe you're not spending enough time sometimes really delving into the action. So I think, something like the GROW model is always useful to revisit no matter what stage you are at. So we're going to do this via a demonstration. So for those of you that aren't familiar, the GROW model is from John Whitmore, and it's used really widely across the coaching field. And it stands for goals, so that's the G, R, reality, O, options, sometimes outcomes, and W, which is way forward or will. So you find different versions of the model.
This is a book that is often recommended. It's by John Whitmore and contains a lot of information about the GROW model. So you'll see from that GROW can be both simple but also can have many layers to it. And we refer to it as a semi-structure for a conversation, or you might think about it as a hanger. And of course, you can choose then to deep dive into different elements of it to deepen the conversation. But it provides you with confidence when you're in a conversation and you don't know what's going to come up. If you know, broadly speaking, what is the flow, and you can be very transparent with the person that you're talking with. Hey, how about we use the GROW model in order to explore this goal that you want to set yourself, and we can explore how things are for you at the moment, what your options are, and then create an action plan for moving forward with it. How does that sound for you? And people are going to say, that sounds great. And so they'll know when you're asking the questions where they are, because okay, so we've got a good understanding of your goal. Now let's move on to the next stage. So that's how you can use it as a manager, just as easily as you can use it as a coach in the coaching conversations. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to be the coach for this demonstration, and Zoe is going to be the coachee.
Yeah.
Okay, so Zoe, what is your goal?
Yeah, so as you know, Jo, we've been looking to launch the ILM coaching level 3. So, coaching for managers and people who want to dip their toe in the water to gain some coaching skills. It's self-guided. So it's thinking about how to launch that. So I suppose the goal is to launch the ILM coaching and mentoring level 3.
Okay. And when do you want to do this by?
I want to do it by January, which feels a little bit like a funny time to be launching stuff because it's sort of around Christmas. But I think it's for me, I feel like I want it launched so I can almost see how it lands, see what sort of feedback we're getting from the market, and also to have that milestone out of the way so I can, we can refine and build for future launches.
And how will you know when you've achieved it?
Well, it will be out there, I suppose. It will be launched. So I guess like evidence criteria would be, well, people can buy it. So that's a good one. That we will have customers. I think something, to have launched it, and for that. No, I'm going to take that back, actually. We don't have to have had customers to have launched it. My hope is that we will, of course, but to focus actually just on launching it as the piece that I'm in control of.
And what is the date for the launch?
I don't actually have that yet. So the date for the launch will be the 15th of January.
Okay.
I'll do some contracting with you on that later.
So your goal is to launch the ILM in effective coaching at level 3 as a self-guided program on the 15th of January, And the launch means that it will be available for people to buy as a self-guided program.
Yeah.
So what we're doing in that goals section there is I was asking Zoe a few questions just to get very specific about the goal that she wants to achieve, which is why I was asking questions about when exactly, and was asking questions around the evidence criteria. How will you know that you've achieved it? And there are a number of different questions you can ask at that level. So if you're interested in getting a selection of questions for each of these 4 different levels, the goal, reality, options, and way forward, you can email us at info@igcompany.co.uk, and we can share with you what shall we call it? A sheet of about 70 questions that you can use within Grow. You can go through and highlight your favourites, and it might extend your questioning range. So let's move forward now into reality, Zoe, and explore what the current situation is. So can you share with us what your current situation is in relation to this goal?
Yeah, so it's something that I'll just talk from eyes. It's something I've had on the radar for some time. Like we've put out to market our level 5 coaching qualifications and the level 7, and the level 3 is like the last part. So so there's a real energy behind getting it launched because it's then the full suite. I know it's something, you know, that I feel really excited by, but it's also been a long time in the making. So from a real selfish perspective, to have ticked it off, like there's that sense of achievement in being able to do that. So so that's kind of some of the reality. In terms of the launch itself, it's not something I've really given a huge amount of thought to. So the focus has very much been on building the content and creating the product without having really the time or space to have given much thought to the launch. So I guess that's what this is useful for right now.
Okay. And what strikes you about being crucial to your success based on where you're at now?
Crucial to success is it's getting it done, you know, to the usual high standards of quality, but it's like it's the final hurdle. So it's all the hard work's been done, so this is the final hurdle. So actually getting it done, putting it out there, that is ultimately what's crucial to success, and obviously being proud of the way in which we do that.
And what skills or strengths do you have that will enable you to overcome any obstacles that you might face?
Well, when it comes to launching, I think some of the biggest obstacles is the tech. So, and I do have that in me to be able to do. Obviously, you could outsource it as well, but I think certainly for the first go around to have the ability to, you know, to build, you know, whatever it is that we choose to do to launch it. So that's an obvious one. I think I've got the drive, determination, the will, the excitement, the motivation, all of that stuff, but the obstacles will probably be in the detail.
Okay, so we've identified that your goal is to launch the level 3 program on the 15th of January as a self-guided program. The current reality is that you have got to decide on a plan as to how you're going to launch it, and you need to put time and attention into that launch and agree with me how we're going to do that. So we've learned a bit more about your reality, and obviously if we were in a coaching conversation we would explore this a bit more, but for the sake of the demo we're going to move into the options phase. So what ideas do you have for the launch?
Do you know, some of it could just be a really soft launch around just send out the emails to our email list and posts on social media, and if people are interested they can just even create a Word document, you know, and make that available to people. So to keep it really straightforward, really simple, could do that. That would definitely be quick. At the other end, we could do like a full campaign, you know, of several weeks of you know, marketing about it, you know, reaching out to ideal clients. We don't do sales calls, but it's an option, right? Like we could do approaches to people who we think might be interested. I
What
think
could you do? Sorry,
sorry.
what could you do if you had all the resources, all the support, all the money, all the freedom in the world?
Wow, outsource the whole thing. That's actually I would. I think I'd outsource the whole thing to some kind of agency to say, right, we've got this fantastic product. Could could you do the launch for us? That would be great.
And what would you do if you weren't afraid?
Um, I don't feel much fear in relation to this. It's more excitement than, I would have felt fear. I think, years ago, I'd have held back from launching stuff for fear that no one would buy it. I don't have that fear. Like, if no one buys it, we just haven't got the launch right. I'm okay with that. It's a great product. So no, I'm more like keen to go than I am afraid. So.
Okay, great. And what would you do if you had a magic wand?
Magic wand. What would I do if I had a magic wand? I would. Do you know what comes to mind actually is a lot of the back end systems that we would need. So because it's self guided, ultimately, I think what I would like is for people to be able to purchase it online and get access to the program, have an appointment with their kind of tutor and supervisor, and to get going. So actually, I'd magic wand all of that into place, so that it's not really just about the launch, but it's also about the customer experience that comes, once somebody has kind of purchased it. So that's what I would use the wand for.
Can you summarize the options that you've identified so far?
So, outsource the whole thing, really soft launch.
Mhm.
Having the back end kind of processes, resolved. And probably one that I haven't explicitly mentioned but comes to mind now is somewhere in the middle of those soft launch and fully outsourced launch, which is perhaps using someone to help with a launch which is a halfway house. So maybe doing some webinars and helping people to understand what the qualification is, what coaching is, and whether they might be interested. Adding some value to people as part of the process as well.
Okay, great. And again, we could explore more here. I could ask Zoe, okay, can you share with me 3 more examples, and many other questions that we can share with you in the resource that you can have access to. So let's move forward for the demo into the way forward, or it's sometimes called WILL for the W. Out of the options that you've identified, which one do you think will have the greatest impact?
Greatest impact. I think it's the halfway house. I like the idea of adding value to people, whether they choose to buy the program or not. I think anything to raise, awareness of coaching in the profession and what it is, and the impact it has, feels like that's in line with my values, and I know our values. So
Yeah.
So I think that's the one that feels like that would have the biggest impact.
And which option would be fastest?
The easy one, which the soft launch would be the fastest. Yeah.
Okay. And which would be the most daring?
For us, the most daring would be to outsource the whole thing.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is useful to notice that.
So, which of these options do you have most energy for moving forward with and taking action on?
Right now, the middle option, adding value through doing some webinars and reaching people who might naturally be interested in the level 3 as a way to introduce themselves to coaching.
So what's the first next step?
First next step is to agree with you that that is what we do, and then get some dates in the diary, assuming you're applicable, to plan those webinars and the action steps, I suppose, that we would need to kind of take that forward.
Okay. And we would explore other questions here around the support that you need, any barriers that might come up. We might explore the impact. So questions like, what are the benefits for you if you take these actions? We'd look at gaining commitment. So how committed on a scale of 0 to 10 are you? So let's just check in with you, Zoe. How committed are you on a scale of 0 to 10 to take those first steps?
Yeah, easy 10, yeah.
And we'd also explore about how the person's going to keep themselves on course. And that would be questions like, when things are going well, what will you be feeling? What will be the early signs that things might be going off track? How might you sabotage yourself? And then we would also put a plan in for that at that very early stage to ensure success.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you can see from here, there are many questions for Grow, and that isn't an exhaustive list. We hope that by taking you through the example today, that has given you confidence as a manager or as a coach to experiment with it, with transparency, using it in line with your values and how you are in your authentic way, but using it as a semi-structure to help people move forward in a way that helps them to achieve their goals in alignment with their values. So that's Grow in a nutshell for you. Love to hear your thoughts about it. If you'd like to join us in our Facebook group, The Coaching Crowd, it's a collection of people who are interested in self-development and also developing others. So anybody with a passion for coaching, you don't need to be an experienced or qualified coach. You might be somebody with an interest in it. You can also find our videos on YouTube and connect with us on LinkedIn. Jo Wheatley and Zoe Hawkins.
Thanks very much.